Good.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I would like to call the June 23rd, 2021 Public Art Commission meeting to order. So Margaret, do you mind giving us a roll call, please?
Yes, of course. So Chair Nguyen, present. Commissioner Kirimitsu,
Present.
Commissioner Andres,
Did
present.
you say Andres?
Yes.
Present.
And then Commissioner Wong.
Here.
All right. And then we also have Mayor Pro Tem Cacchiotti present and Assistant City Attorney Jared as well.
Fantastic. Commissioner Wong, I love your background, by the way. Just saying. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
And a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Aye.
Great. So the agenda has been approved. Do we have any public comments?
So this is a live webinar. So if there's anyone that would like to make public comment who's an attendee, please just use the raise hand feature. So seeing none at the moment, so I think we can move on to item number 1.
To communications?
Correct.
Sure. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any communications from the City Council?
Yes, Madam Chair, just very briefly, we did approve our budget. Part of the budget, we did have a surplus of a little over 100,000. I motioned to put some of that into replenish our tree replacement policy to replace trees and plant trees and remove old trees, dead and decaying trees. So it was approved. If the commission wants to get involved in the process more, we're going to set up some strategic planning meetings. Be hiring a consultant very soon and probably September, October, November have meetings as to what to prioritize in the city over the next year. So if you have thoughts, you can participate in that. I'll keep you up to date. And interestingly, ironically, right after that meeting on Monday, I was at Holy Family doing some volunteer work in the morning. And one of our huge oak trees on Oak between Fremont and Fair Oaks fell, struck the back of a car going under it, literally across the entire street. Thank God the guy wasn't there a tenth of a second earlier, smashed the back of his car to the limb this big. And it took staff and West Coast Arborists literally 4 hours to remove that huge part of a tree from the whole street. So it's really an issue. A lot of things going on in the city, the gold line moving forward, artwork on there still, AQMD, Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. Tonight at 7, I've got to go to the, there's a webinar on transitioning to electric lawn equipment in the city. The Natural Resources Commission has approved a recommendation to ban gas-powered leaf blowers, be coming before the council very soon. And I got to participate because it's my motion to bring it there, so I've got to be involved in that. And also, you probably know this, but in the city, we've got all those excess Caltrans properties along the 710 corridor. And there's an issue before the California Transportation Commission today and tomorrow, got postponed to tomorrow. We're trying to protect our residents and try to control the process that they get to purchase the houses. But there's been a proposal by a nonprofit up in Pasadena that's possibly moving forward. So looks like myself and one of the council members will be testifying tomorrow. So got to get ready for that tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Next, what about commissioners? Does anybody have any comments to share or anything to share? Nothing. Okay, I don't either. How about staff liaison communications? Margaret, do you have any staff?
So I'm excited to let you guys know that we are reopening things at the city slowly but safely. So we are planning on doing in-person meetings come July. So we'll be able to actually see each other in person during our next meeting.
Great. So all of us will be there in person next month. Will we also be recorded so that folks who can't come can still participate via Zoom?
I don't know the details about that yet, but I'll look into it and I'll share that with the commission.
Great, thank you. So why don't we move on to the next item?
I do have a quick question about potentially meeting on in July. Are there, I know things could change dramatically in a week, but are there any safety requirements that we need to know about? Should we come with masks, for instance?
I think right now we're following the state and county rules. So if you are vaccinated, you are not required to wear a mask indoors. However, if you're more comfortable wearing a mask, you're more than welcome to do so. But I don't believe that that's an actual requirement.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. So my dog is kind of loud. Sorry. This is something that I'm looking forward to when we're in person. No like dogs barking and running around. Okay, without further ado, why don't we move to agenda item number 4 and have our wonderful anti-bias club folks come present the Black Lives Matter mural.
So I'll go ahead and promote Lulu, Maya, and Noah to panelists. So bear with me for a minute. Hi, everyone. And I will pull up your presentation. Let me do the share screen. Hold on one second. All right, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for having us again. It's nice to see all of you. Jumping right in, this is the presentation that we kind of looked over last time, but we just wanted to update you on a few more things that we've been doing since we last met. So without further ado, here's a presentation for the Black Lives Matter mural of the Anti-Bias Club and Zach Brown.
So just to go over the purpose of the mural again, the main goal is to depict the celebration of Black people by expressing Black strength, diversity, and intersectionality. So because we want to highlight these components, we will not be depicting any Black victims of racism and police brutality, especially since we want to show the resilience and spirit of Black individuals. So instead, we will show famous and historical Black figures within the many Black social justice movements. And we will also want to use this mural for educational and informational purposes. So we will show many examples of symbolism, which we will get into later into the presentation.
Just to recap again, a little bit of our selection process. We've, I think, officially now been working on the mural for over a year. So we've been doing this for a while, and back in November is when we chose Zach Brown, the artist, our artist. So since that point, he's developed the design, which we know you all have seen. And this is just a little bit about that process. And here again is our design, just to sort of refresh what it looks like for everyone.
Once again, just a quick reminder of who is in the mural. From left to right, we have Sojourner Truth, Nina Simone, John Lewis, London Lang, Ruby Bridges, Nelson Mandela, Macy Jemison, Baron James, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Harriet Tubman, and Malcolm X. So those are the people in the foreground. And then in the background, the 6 figures in the back, we have Angela Davis, Patrice Cullors, Ida B. Wells, Biddy Mason, Bayard Rustin, and Marsha P. Johnson.
So now this goes more into the particular mural symbolism and actions in the foreground. So this particular slide focuses on actions in the foreground. So in red, we have a man painting a portrait on the wall. In green, we have children listening to Sojourner Truth. In dark blue, we have Nina Simone singing amongst a crowd accompanied by many other musicians and dancers in celebration. In yellow, we have a crowd gathering for a protest where we see the pride flag and the I am a man sign, a BLM sign, as well as John Lewis holding hands with Ruby Bridges. In purple, we see the pride flag, as well as one man helping up another man who was knocked to the ground. In green, we have a woman standing over a cook pot. And in light blue, we have Langston Hughes and James Baldwin sitting at a typewriter. So now we move on to the particular symbolism in this piece. So we have a drum, records, and music by Black musicians, the trumpet, a banjo, which was invented by Black people, the I Am a Man sign, which was from the Memphis sanitation strike. We have the pride flag to represent intersectionality and inclusivity. We have books written by Black authors, and we have a broken cage with a bird representing the poetry of Maya Angelou. We have an empty figure, and this is a key part of the mural. The empty figure is supposed to signify the interactive aspect of the mural. In this case, you would stand where that red outline is to be a part of this movement. And now these are more of the close-ups from the pictures that were previously shown. So each of them really specifically highlights the symbolism and the people who are in this mural. And then it also highlights the spot where citizens of South Pasadena and other places can come and stand and be a part of the mural.
And again, to recap, the way we've involved the community, that's a really big part of this mural. We want it to be for the community, both our school community as students, as well as the greater South Pass community. So we have met with our club and have been facilitating other conversations with members of the community and look to continue to do that. Hopefully once we get into the painting process, having volunteers and such. Because we think that's really important for public art.
So another new addition, I guess, that we've been working on throughout this process is creating a website that includes everything from a brief history of us, the Anti-Bias Club, as well as explaining the mural, the symbolism in the mural, and the people in the mural. As you can see on the screen, the link is included. I don't see a chat where I can put the link, but we have published the website, but it isn't open to the public yet, as we're still taking revisions. And yeah, we wanted you all to get a chance to see that before we went any further. But yes, we've created the mural, and I mean, we've created the website, and hopefully that can be added to the mural in the form of a QR code. Yeah.
And just to summarize what happened since we last presented to you in March, we've had conversations with the city, city manager, some city council members, city attorney, etc. And in summary, they've sort of communicated to us that the west side of City Hall, which was our initial original location choice for this mural, is no longer an option due to liability issues with that neighboring gas station there, which is unfortunate. So now we're sort of on the hunt for new locations. Currently, our next top choice is the library, that wall sort of by the big tree, where people often congregate during farmers markets, and there's a lot of foot traffic. It's not near any like driveways or any liability issues. So we're really hoping that we can do that location. And we've been in contact with the library director. The library actually needs to develop an art policy before they can sort of entertain our project. So they're in the midst of doing that. They said that they'd get that done by July or August. So we're hoping that once that happens, then we can move forward. But also at the same time, we're exploring other options, and we'd love if any of you have any suggestions as well. Both city properties, the school district property, and also private property we're looking into as well. So any suggestions for that would be welcome, but that's sort of where we're at now. Yeah, and I think that's the entire presentation. So if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to ask them now. Thank you so much.
Thank you all again for a wonderful, wonderful presentation. Do any of the commissioners or staff have any questions or comments or feedback? Commissioner Wong?
Yes, I first, again, every time you all present from the Anti-Bias Club, it's amazing. And so thank you. I applaud your dedication and seeing this through. But I do have some questions, and the liability issue. Can you expand on that and why? What is the liability? And because I also read that report. I read a report saying that there was a dumpster or some trash thing for the construction, and that, that's one issue, but is that tied into this liability issue? And can you expand on this liability issue?
So I can address a portion of that, and then we can also ask Assistant City Attorney Jarrett to expand on that. The liability concerns were with the interactive component in the bottom right corner of the mural, which is located right next to the driveway entrance to the gas station, which provided somewhat of a blind spot and created some concerns there. In terms of the trash enclosure, I think that you're referring to, the gas station is planning on making some renovations, and they would be locating a trash enclosure to the left of the mural. And the size and location of that trash enclosure would end up blocking a portion of the mural. But I can have Assistant City Attorney Jared expand a little bit more on the liability concerns, if you like.
Yeah, Margaret got it right. And first, again, applaud the Anti-Bias Club for their presentation and their dedication to this project. It's been amazing working with you as somewhat adverse our positions are on this, and me having to break some bad news to you about the liability issue. It's been great working with you. But the liability issue here is, as Margaret said, literally calling people to stand right there. So here the city is taking an action to cause people to come onto this neighboring property. And so when we do that, we're in some way diminishing the next door neighbor's property by causing them to go there. So that's one liability. And that would be potentially an inverse condemnation, it's called, when the city does something to diminish the value of a piece of property. And then the other, as Margaret was pointing out, was where those people would stand is and walk to directly in the line of traffic as folks are making that right-hand turn into or a left-hand turn across traffic, but it's the right-hand turn where it's obscured, where people would be standing is obscured by the corner of City Hall. And then people taking a broader photo, say their friends are standing in front of her, just getting the full frame of the mural in, the full 45, 50 feet of it, you'd have to stand in the parking lot itself, again, right in the line of traffic of people coming into there. And so those two issues really are significant, and they can't be minimized. And we're tried to see a way to mitigate that, given the site constraints on that property. Don't see a way to do that.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes, thank you for explaining that. But I would like to hear from the Anti-Bias Club, because it is your project. It seems like the interactive component is really important. Just for me, if I could just express how I feel about that, symbolically, to have that mural on City Hall means a lot. And to sacrifice maybe the interactive component, for me, I'm like, oh, you should do that, but this is your project. And so so was this your decision that you made to really privilege that interactive component, and sacrifice the City Hall wall? So can you expand on that? Or I mean, was it your decision to pull out, and is that then super important to have that interactive component?
I can
Thank
start
you.
with this.
Oh yeah, no, you go first. Sorry.
Sorry, Lou.
Sorry. You
Add
go.
on. But I think based on discussions, I don't think the City Hall would be an option whether we had the interactive piece or not. And city staff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's sort of what it came to. But we did discuss, regardless of that the interactive piece was pretty crucial in our design. So we really would not want to sacrifice that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you for expanding on that. And if I could continue questioning, I did read that the budget, there is a clear coat that Spark will be handling. Um, and it was, the supplies and materials and paint came out to be around $3,000. Um, but the clear coat, the graffiti protectant, came out to be like 4,000, which is more than the whole entire paint budget. And I do, as an artist, as someone who's done dozens of illegal murals, but one real like legit mural where the city of LA actually paid and it was for free. I don't want to compare the city of South Pasadena to LA, but the city of LA, came in and did the clear coat, the anti-graffiti coat for free. So when I saw that budget and seeing that the clear coat alone costs more than all the paints that are really expensive, that's one question that I had about the budget. And so does anyone have any more information about that? And those costs, those added costs, the $4,000 for the graffiti coat?
I think Zach, who's our artist, would know more about that. I think it's because he was sort of particular about wanting to have like professionals hired to make sure the mural protect its longevity. So I think that's maybe where the extra cost is. But yeah, I don't really have any more info on that. Or I don't know if we do.
So would that protective coating include the labor to, not just the materials?
And that is a one-time application. It's not like Spark is volunteering to put the coat on and then maintain the mural for a period of 5 years, and that built into the costs.
I think what Zach told us was that with this particular coat, like it should last at least like 10 or like it should last a really long time. That's sort of why he picked it.
It's 7 to 10 years.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you for answering those questions. But I think I would like to know the bigger picture of like what are the alternatives and spaces for the mural.
Do we have any other comments or questions? Because right now I think they're looking for the space, right? So I think today's goal is to put a motion to approve at least the concept. So these wonderful young folks don't have to keep hitting a wall. They need our approval. I really think that's important for us to approve the concept and idea. And then when they find the location, then we'll have a second meeting to approve the location. But that's our goal today for this action item. But before we do that, I mean, does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of technical difficulty today. My video keeps freezing. But I was just curious about the website associated with the mural. I know I read it last time that you presented it, and I was just wondering, I know it's not open to the public, and I didn't know if I would have access to it now. I'd really be interested in seeing, where you are on it, and I'm just wondering at what point you guys feel you are. And I just want to say also how impressed I am with this and the way that you really are turning to muralism to address social justice issues, which is, of course, historically something that's been happening here in the United States since the 1930s. And I'm very, very proud of your initiative. And I'm also very interested in that text. And I'm just wondering and how it's going and where you are on that.
So in terms of the website, we've pretty much completed it. We're just open to any revision or just editing that maybe you all would like to make. And I would love to put it in the chat, but I don't think that's an option for me. So maybe we can send that in an email if that works.
Yes, Lulu, you can send it to me and I can forward it to the commission.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And then just to clarify in terms of actions for tonight, the commission can provide conditional approval of the design. And then once the final location has been selected, it'll be kind of a quick pass through to the council that way. Secondly, we did have an ad hoc commission or a committee for this. Unfortunately, Commissioner Sawyer is no longer with us, so we have a vacancy. And so the second recommendation is for the commission to elect another member to participate on that ad hoc committee to continue to work with the Anti-Bias Club. And then lastly, we're open to having a discussion right now on potential alternative sites. So if any of the commissioners have any recommendations, as the Anti-Bias Club mentioned, it doesn't necessarily have to be on city property or school property. They're open to private property as well. And I do note that we do have a public comment from Sandy Kiddo. So whenever chair you would like to get to public comment on this item, we can do that as well.
Is this public comment related to the mural? Should we listen to it now or just wait?
I believe so. So I can allow Sandy to speak now.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, go ahead.
I just wanted to, yes, I just wanted to clarify, Commissioner Wong mentioned Spark along with the anti-graffiti treatment there, and I am not familiar with any commitment from Spark in regards to that. So I just wanted, I didn't know if something wasn't clear there in of the cost of that item. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
I think Noah wants to respond to that. Go ahead, Noah.
So it's not Spark like the South Pasadena Arts Council. It's a different organization, but it has the same acronym. So
Okay. Well, that clears it up for me then. Thank you.
It's the OG Spark. It's Judy Baca's group.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any suggestions for location? The library seems like a good alternative, and oh my goodness, if they're gonna have an art policy before we do, that's not good. Just saying. Well, the library seems good so far, but Commissioner Andre?
Yeah, are we looking at private property as well? I was just thinking about you guys, and I was just kind of driving around, and there's that incredible wall on the side of the Divergent building, Divergent CrossFit building, and I think that's a privately owned building. But to me, it just, to have, something very, colorful and powerful there would be, an extraordinary sight. I know, that's a whole nother, bag of worms dealing with private property, but, I just think there are other creative things we can think of, and we should be thinking about this as we're kind of moving around town, if the library doesn't happen.
Thank you. Commissioner Wong?
This is a really crazy idea. And I think Council Jared would immediately strike this down, but for liability sake, but it would be awesome to see this on the water tower.
I'm all for it.
Done. Let's do it.
He's not responding. He's like, I'm not gonna go there.
Well, if I can just comment on that, after meeting with the Anti-Bias Club and the city manager and the council members, the Anti-Bias Club did emphasize how important that interactive component is. So I don't think we want people going on top of the water tower.
So I wasn't the first to object. And another component was the detail in it, and Zach Brown was very emphatic about there's a lot of detail there. that's going to be important to see. And so it was designed to be at ground level for people to walk up to. And so with all those design considerations, that's what in these prior discussions, meetings we've been having, those issues have been coming up as very important. So as folks are looking for an alternative site, I believe the site dimension is something like 45 foot by 15 foot. And the aspect ratio is going to be important. That that ratio is going to be very significant. If it changes, I guess it can get smaller, but it has to be proportionally smaller. Otherwise, that results in a redesign, and that means more work for Zach. So it's not a liability concern. It's a design concern, for the record, that would prevent it from being on the water tower.
Sounds good. Okay, so at this point, do I have a motion to give a conditional approval for the design?
Yes.
Yay, Commissioner Shimizu. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Yay. Commissioner Andres, did you want to say something?
No, I was saying aye.
Okay. Got you. Wonderful, awesome. So that's great news. And we'll wait until you have that location so you can bring it to us. And should we let them go before no, you should stay to see who's going to be on the ad hoc committee, right? Do we have any nominations for somebody to join me on this ad hoc committee? It's great. Come on.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kimitsu.
You're welcome. I'm happy to support this effort in any way that I can.
So you just nominated yourself.
Sure did.
Well, I second that nomination. All in favor of Commissioner Kimitsu being on the ad hoc committee? Aye, yes, yes.
Aye.
Okay, so Lulu and Noah and Maya.
Woohoo.
Yay. Okay, cool. Very excited. Thank you. All right, so Anti-Bias Club, you're more than welcome to join us or stay or, go eat dinner. But we're going to continue, and congratulations, and let us know how we can support you. We're really excited for you. Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're awesome.
They're wonderful. Yeah.
I mean, really, website, boom, QR code, boom, just, just all over. So
I agree.
yeah. Cool. So next on our agenda is the artist rights and artist friendly city discussion that we're going to have. I believe we have a presentation, Margaret.
So just really briefly, thank you to all of you that were able to send me links and languages from other jurisdictions. I was able to compile the information and identified that most jurisdictions do include language requesting artists to waive their rights under the CAPA or VRA. However, some jurisdictions, such as Los Angeles County and Metro, have included additional language that allows artists to maintain the copyrights to their work. And so I actually have a slide that I can pull up for you guys. Hold on. And so then we can continue this discussion. So these are the different jurisdictions that I was able to find information on their public art policies. So like I said, most of them did include waivers of CAPA. However, LA County and Metro did provide some additional language that allows the artists to maintain their copyrights. Other cities such as, I think it was city of Pasadena, requires that if any artwork is removed, that it's in compliance with CAPA and VRA. So that was another variation. So just wanted to see if you guys had any recommendations based off of the different options that some of the cities have done before.
Do any of the commissioners have feedback or any? For me, I I prefer the Metro and the LA County framework. Because again, as we've discussed before, it's important for artists to have their rights to their work. It just doesn't make sense for them to give it up. And I know with Metro and LA County Public Works, there is that clause for artists to have the copyright and be able to show it and promote it, but not use that image to make more money, right? So I understand that. And same with the city, where the city cannot reproduce and make more money from the same exact artwork, that there's this shared copyright. So I'm more in favor of that. Does anybody else have any comments? And thank you, Margaret, for compiling all of this. I know I just kept emailing you, here's this and here's this and here's this. So you like really distilled it and made it so clear.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner Wong.
Is the city of Santa Monica, are they the most compliant with CAPA? It seems.
I think so, just based on the ones that we've looked at.
Okay. I mean, I like Santa Monica, but I agree with I agree with Fung. You know, Metro and LA County, I think, also have variations, which, you know, I think I would be agreeable to. But my preference would be, you know, following Santa Monica.
Yeah, I also agree with you, Fong. I think too, in terms of VARA, it's that artists keep their copyrights, but can grant cities access to use of the reproductive rights seems to make sense. In terms of CAP and the preservation, a lot of the cities I see ask that the artworks are on private property are maintained by the property owner. And I'm just kind of curious about what we're doing here on our Arts Commission, and also how we require this, 1% for, private businesses to make public art, or, on-site public art. And I'm just trying to, like, if we could get some, maybe Andrew could talk to us a little bit, or some comment about this kind of public-private aspect to this. Some clarification I think would be really helpful for me.
So maybe I can start with that. For the public art development program, any project that is developed does have to provide a covenant on the maintenance plan. So even though it's on private property, the owners do have to provide a maintenance plan that is approved by the commission and then also recorded.
Yeah, at this time, we don't have a standardized agreement for that. And so that would need to be developed. So that would, I think, the next layer of analysis as to what these other cities have done that would be the best approach for what you want to achieve, what the council wants to achieve, and what the city can afford. Because oftentimes these turn into, providing so many rights to the artist and to the artwork becomes, what's been coined a white elephant, right? It's so expensive to maintain that it's really not a gift anymore. And so that's, in many ways, that's where a lot of the cities are coming from in developing policies. And perhaps there is a way, I haven't looked into this, but perhaps there is a way that the sharing of the rights offsets that cost. And so that might be one of the reasons why some cities have gone to a different approach. But it certainly is, as I've mentioned before, there's a knee-jerk reaction, I think, by the city attorney academy or a canon of city attorneys statewide of just, no, there's liability here, it's too much cost. And so write a policy that outlaws it or bans it, or is very, that traditional approach. So I don't have specific answers. I've not analyzed the whole gamut of everything that's been presented there. And if there is a particular one or two that we want to focus on, I think that would be the next step here.
I suggest us discussing the two important things are that the city and the artist share the copyright and exclusive rights in a public artwork on a public property. I just don't feel like the onus of maintaining the integrity of the artwork should only be on the artist. It also has to be on the city as well. So can that be shared as well?
Legally, yes, but that comes down to a policy decision.
Okay.
And that's where, when you look at what some of these provisions in the codes require, that the art remain. So and the artist be, I guess, compromise there is that the artist be given the right to take down the art. But when it becomes that the art holds up the city's development of something, that's where a lot of cities go, no, we want no interest in this whatsoever. And so it really, I think a policy consideration is for the promotion of art, for the promotion of public art, making it so that it is painless to a city. That the more layers we put on it that require cities to do things, then I think cities and city councils are less inclined to engage in creating and promoting our work.
And usually there is a standard number of years, right? Let's say, okay, the city will agree to 20 years, even if there's development or whatever, that the city will honor 20 years to maintain that work, right? Commissioner Wong?
Well, and so the issue there becomes when a problem comes up about a piece of art. And I believe, was it Concord, I think is the classic example of a series of poles that were erected in a lane and a median. And there were rights given to the artist associated with that. And then there were claims against the city. And I believe in that case, the city did have to pay in order to take, not just pay for the work to take the down, but to pay for the right to take it down. And so it's those types of issues that, cause concern for city attorneys to give advice and for policymakers that, what happens when that artist comes out, is out of favor, and the society turns on that artist and the artist is canceled. Well, now your city is associated with that artist. And if you've just now given that artist a 10-year right to have it up, well, then you've got to pay in order to take that right away. And so the artist then sues the city. And so that's where the flexibility comes in. And so those are just things, and people like me present this whole parade of horribles, but they're based on real examples. And there's a recent case out of San Francisco dealing with a similar thing. I think it went the other way, but nevertheless, you had to spend all the money to get there because there were these rights being asserted.
Commissioner Wong?
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Jared. I mean, it is a good point to bring up that, yes, we need to be fiscally responsible as a commission, and not just break the city coffers. That being said, it is important, cancel culture, is very real. And if there was a statue erected maybe 150 years ago in South Pasadena, or just 100 years ago, it could very well have been a white supremacist statue. And so we would want the ability to take that down when society changes and our values change. But I think the big picture is that we just want to be an arts friendly city. And so if the city has to then open up to that risk, and it comes down to dollars, right? I think we just want the city to be arts friendly enough that they're open to be able to maintain, be able to cough up the money maybe 50 years down the line, to remove something and pay that artist if we, if we no longer, if that artist isn't in favor. But I think it's just, financially, I think what maybe what I'm thinking and asking on behalf of the commission is that the city commit, to being open, and commit to maybe allocating funding to address some of these issues. And I think that's ultimately would make an arts friendly city. But I do hear your points, Councilman Jared.
And I don't want to be mistaken at all. There's policies in Margaret's report that I think are very promising to achieve what you want to achieve. I just haven't dedicated the time to analyze all of them. But in reading those summaries, I was impressed that some folks out there in other cities have really put some good time and energy into this. And there's one of them there that's going to be suitable for South Pasadena.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? So we don't make policy, right? We just make our recommendations. Is that correct, Council Jared? Okay, so it sounds like our recommendation is first and foremost to be an artist-friendly city, to share those copyrights, and to have something that's fair. Okay, so I think we can end this discussion or table it, or how do we feel?
Oh, I mean, it's really wonderful that Margaret compiled all this information. And there are, I know among all of these policies, as Andrew said, there's something there that we can use as a model. So I think that'll be incredibly helpful. I don't know what the next step to getting to that model would be at this point. Do we need to identify the one that we want to advance, or how does that work?
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can suggest the model would be, it sounds like LA County and Metro, right? Are we all in agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I do like the Santa Monica's explicit upholding of Varen, and I know, just in terms of my kind of experience, and I'm sure all of you all have experienced different interactions with cities and different different entities, but Santa Monica has been consistently a very upstanding model of kind of support for cultural activity, like in the area, and I think that would be one to look at quite closely.
Great, thank you for that. So maybe we can say on behalf of the Arts Commission that we prefer the model of Santa Monica, LA County, and Metro as a framework to look at. Boom, we're done.
So as you're saying that, you're making a motion to present that to the city council, or you want staff to further evaluate that? Because I don't know if we've done the next layer of analysis that often happens where, I mean, we've identified some codes, but we haven't, I don't think we've dug the deeper here into looking and asking the city and staff, what does that code look like in reality, and how is that affecting projects coming through and the budget, and is there a backlash? Are you looking to repeal that policy? Things like that often are the case. Typically we borrow codes from other cities all the time, and then we find out I won't say all the time this happens, but it does happen on occasion where we borrow something, and yeah, there's a reason why no one's using that anymore. Either if it's been, a case that's overruled an ordinance, or it was too restrictive or too burdensome to enforce an ordinance like that. So I think that might be the next step. It would likely have to be done, if not at this level, then at the council level. But I'm coming into the middle of this kind of, I don't know where this is all supposed to be going, or where it's already been, but it's just another aspect.
Sure. I mean, I think that since we don't make policy, that I think city council should really dig deeper into that.
Okay.
How do you all feel, right? Or do we want to do forensics here on this code and any takers? So I think at this point, maybe we should just recommend to city council to look deeper into this and start looking at policy making, and to look at those 3 models that we recommended: Santa Monica, LA County, and Metro. Great. And let's do it quicker than the library, please. Fantastic. Okay, so agenda item number 6 is minutes from our regular April 28th meeting. Do we have a motion? Did everybody get a chance to review the April minutes? My only change is that my name was misspelled once as Huang, Huang.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay. The Chinese version and the Vietnamese version. Just choose one version though. But other than that, I think it looks great. But does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes? My dog did. Okay, Commissioner Andres made a motion to approve. Do we have any seconds?
I second it.
Great. Commissioner Wong, all in favor? Aye, great.
Aye.
Awesome. Yes, Commissioner Andres.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm struggling with the technology tonight.
Okay. Can we put some things on the agenda for next time we meet? Right now, the fiscal year is ending, so would that be a good time in July to look at the new budget? And especially the municipal gallery, and if we're reopening, like I feel like we need to agendize that and talk about that in our next meeting, the budget and the municipal gallery.
Just so please know, the budget was approved during the last council meeting, and in the budget, it does have a line item for $25,000 for the civic gallery. So I think it would be timely to have a discussion with the commission to see how you guys want to proceed with that, because I'm not quite sure having the gallery inside City Hall would make that much sense, since we're still kind of at the tail end of the pandemic. So are there other alternatives on how you would like to see that programming? And obviously that's something we'd probably have to take back to council and let them know if it diverges, too much from the original intent, which is the Civic Center Art Gallery. But
that sounds great.
Courtyard, so that might be something else that we can discuss.
Or performances, or we can talk about that.
Yep.
Awesome, great. And the other thing is the DEI framework, developing a DEI framework and hosting probably a community forum to get input from our residents and stakeholders, what kinds of public arts programming they might want. But I would really like to agendize that as well, if we're okay. Does anybody else have anything they want on the agenda to talk about in July, next month? No? Okay, then. Since my dog is upset with me and it seems like we discussed everything on the agenda, I would like to adjourn our meeting unless anybody else has anything. Anybody? No? Well, I look forward to seeing you all in person. And thank you for the time tonight, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need to motion to adjourn? Yeah.
No, I was saying
No.
we're done. For today. Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, Council Jared, for showing up. You're always welcome to hang out with us,
Cool. See you next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you.
Thank you.